These are the best photography gadgets of the year, hands down. It doesn't matter if I'm going out for a few days, a week, more than that, these gadgets are always in my bag and they always come in handy. The best part is they're actually really cheap too. First one is this Peak Design rain shell. Now, a lot of rain shells are a little bit too small, or they have this weird, cumbersome, like too big kind of thing to them. And what I love about this is you can actually put it over your camera with these hoods right here, and you can actually use these ties to cinch it as tight as you want. And there's some really cool quick release that you can just pull and push down and then pull that hood back off so you can easily and quickly get it off of your camera. That's a big part of it because I don't want to be fumbling around with a lot of cords or, ties or anything like that while it's raining. So the other thing is when you can have it around your actual lens hood. And it has this little hood on it. You know those jackets like they make for rain that have the little rain hood on it? They built one of these in here. We're looking at you, Arc'teryx. Like, this is Arc'teryx of the lens hoods. So it doesn't really matter what size your lens hood is. These, again, have the cinch right here. So you can cinch it up if you're using a really small lens, or if you're using one of the bigger lenses, you can really make that as wide as possible. And it's a really stretchy fabric too, so it's gonna hold tight on that lens. Next up is a cable release. Now, a cable release is good, and you can buy these pretty cheap on Amazon for just a few dollars, but I recommend the ones that have a built-in intervalometer. Now, what the heck is an intervalometer? That is a huge word. What that basically is a way to set a start and a stop time to your cable release if you want to do something like time-lapse photography. So you can actually program that into this cable release and then plug that into your camera and it will keep rolling. Now the downside of that is you got to be sure that you have batteries in it, like I do not. And you gotta be sure those are fresh because this thing can run for hours at a time, especially if you're doing something like night photography, time lapse. But I like this one because it just easily has the hold. If you're looking for a cheap option, you can always get one that just has the hold and lock. If you're doing something like a long exposure and you wanna hold and lock that down and then just have it release like that. Always be sure that the cable release is going to fit your actual camera. I know a lot of cameras now are using USB-C instead of these little, I don't know, would this be USB-B? Let me know down in the comments. I'm not actually for sure on that, but be sure that the cable release actually fits your camera. Next up, rocket blaster. So this little rocket blaster or blower is really handy because if you get any dust or water on the end of your lens, what you can do with this is just give it a few pumps and all the dust and debris is hopefully gone off of your camera. Now these come really in handy when you're photographing waterfalls. And why that is because when you're photographing waterfalls, a lot of air rushes off of the mist of that waterfall with all the energy that's coming off of it, and the water actually causes wind. So if you're close enough to the waterfall, those little water droplets get on the end of your lens, and you can use this in a long exposure, so you can hit your cable release, this last one we went over, and while that's going on a long exposure, you can just pump this thing and it'll get all that debris off of your camera. And since you're doing a long exposure, those little streaks won't show up on your photos. So you can try that a few times. It's also great if you want to blow off any dust on your camera's sensor, because that definitely does get in there especially when we're talking about mirrorless versus DSLR. And if you're unfamiliar with those two options, you can watch this video that's showing up on your card right now that's going to detail what exactly the differences are and which one would be a best fit for you. But definitely have one of these in your bag. Very cheap on Amazon, just a few dollars that you can spend on one of these, and it can save photos. Now, speaking of a dirty sensor, the next one is these sensor cleaners. Now, I like these because they're really cheap. Again, you can see a theme coming up here in the video. Cheap options for you to get. So basically what these are, they have little pads in here, and you also get a solution and a swab for you to use. So basically what you do is you put the solution on the swab, you wipe off the camera sensor, and you're good to go. If you want a full detailed overview of how you actually do that in real time, I have a video right here that's going to show you exactly how to clean your own sensor. Worry-free, stress-free, you're good to go. Now I still have 3 top gadgets that I want to get to, but first I want to tell you about LPU Plus. This is the only streaming landscape photography only platform online to help you learn how to take the best photos of your life for under an expensive cup of coffee. That's right, all of our courses for under $11. So if you want to grab that, I have a link in the video description below. It's called LPU Plus and it's going to help you take better photos. Next up is this guy. Now, I'm a big fan of Peak design. I had the rain hood just a few seconds ago, but these are actually my favorite things, and I don't even always use them for photography specifically, but what these are, gadgets going everywhere, what this is a camera clip that you can actually strap to your backpack. You've probably seen these before, but it's actually really sturdy, fits all backpacks, even the really thick backpack straps that they make for camera backpacks, but you can just tighten this and put the camera down in it. Now, I don't think that's the coolest part of this little setup here. I think these are actually the coolest part. And what these are, they're tiny little fobs that you can loop in between something. I even use these for my sunglasses case. So these little connectors really come in handy if you want to put a bunch of stuff on the outside of your backpack and you don't have room inside or you want easy access. These are a great way to go. It was also nice of them to include these Allen wrenches. I feel like I have a graveyard of these tiny little Allen wrenches, but they do come in handy. You also want to keep these in your camera bag at all times, tightening, loosening your tripod, things like that. These always come in handy. Okay, get all these out of here. Moving on to the next one. This is a headlamp, but it's not just any headlamp, and it doesn't have to be this brand, but I really do like this brand because it's really lightweight. This is called a Bandicoot headlamp, and what it is a headlamp, obviously, but it has different degrees of brightness. Now, the best part about this and what you need in a landscape photography specific headlamp is one that turns red. I like this one because it's really soft on your head and it doesn't like give you a headache. I have a lot of other ones from Top Climbing Gear, stuff like that, but this one really comes in handy, very lightweight, like I said, made of silicone. And you can set it to a red light setting. And why that is important is because when you're out photographing at night, when you actually do need this headlamp, what happens is if you use a white light, then your eyes adjust to the white light. If you use a red light, your eyes actually don't adjust to that light because it's red. Now, that's great because then when you look up and you're doing night photography, you can still see the Milky Way without looking up and having spots all in your vision because you just stared at this really bright white light. The red light doesn't hurt your eyes like that and it doesn't make those spots appear. So I would definitely recommend a headlamp with a red light. And I again like the Bandicoot for that. Again, all this stuff is linked below. Lastly is the BioLite power bank. Now this is really small, but it does have a lot of juice to it. Has different kinds of connectors. It has USB connectors for your phone or something like that, and it also has a USB-C, so you can charge out of a USB-C port as well. So I like a lot of different ports on my power bank, and that's why I like this one the best. It also tells you how much charge it has. I have so many power banks, like this is 75% charged based on the little lights that light up. I have a lot of power banks that I have no idea how much charge is left on them because it doesn't say anything on the outside. Again, this one is extremely small and lightweight, and you can just toss it in your backpack. When you are going out to shoot, it takes up pretty much no room at all, and it's a great one to have. Can quickly charge your gear when you are in a pinch. So those are the things that you need in your backpack. These are the best gadgets of this year. Definitely grab those. And if you want more gear reviews like this one, click or tap this playlist showing up on your screen right now.